Welcome to the Lynn Lowdown. Today we have another special guest, Captain Kevin Johnson, Salvation Army, doing a lot of work during this pandemic. Captain Johnson, how are you?
I'm doing fine. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. I can't complain. It's a beautiful day outside, so it's going to be a good day.
Supposed to be 80 this weekend, so
Yeah, I've
yeah.
been looking forward to this type of weather. Uh, but first off, how's everything? How's everything with you? Just tell me a little bit when the pandemic first hit and everything first started to shut down. How did the Salvation Army adjusted their operations?
We adjusted our operations quite a bit. First thing, the Salvation Army is a church. I don't know, a lot of people know that, but we're actually a church. But we also run a lot of different social service programs.
Mhm.
One of them is our after school program. We're actually state accredited, and we had to shut that down. We we changed a lot of the ways that we run our social services.
Mhm.
Um, the church had to shut. We still hold church services, but
Yeah.
they're mostly all online right now,
Mhm.
and so that kind of changed things. And then also we gave a lot of our staff the option, if they wanted to stay, they could stay, or we would pay them their vacation and sick leave and that sort of thing. So it became pretty crazy, very
Mhm.
quickly. It escalated.
Yeah, especially knowing the status of a lot of organizations, the staffs. Some had to lay staff off, some had to do what you guys did, give them their vacations. Just how are you able to just keep them informed about each update that you guys get of what's happening and when everything may get back to normal? How are you just able to just keep them informed and just let them know that you guys are there for them?
Well, the after school program, where since that's state funded, we have to follow state guidelines, and so whenever the early education uh, department for Mass says that we can open up, we'll open that up. Some of our other staff we're already bringing online, and
Mhm.
we're probably we are hiring two more positions just because of everything that we're doing.
Mhm.
So.
Yeah, yeah, and you guys also have the food pantry. You guys, it's very popular. You guys have that. How was that was a need, a big need right now is food. Just how are you guys getting just able to keep that going? Because I know there's been many people that's been helping, volunteering, for the drives that you guys have been having.
Yeah. Even before then, even before the pandemic, there was a huge food insecurity in Lynn. Um, it wasn't unusual. See, we used to run our food pantry 3 days a week,
Hmm.
and it wasn't unusual for us to have about 120 families coming through at our max per day. On average, it was usually about 70. Um, so food insecurity was already a very big issue, and we even before the governor's orders and all this other stuff, we started gearing up. See, the Salvation Army is an international organization. We're in 33 different countries, so we could kind of see what was happening across from what was happening in Hong Kong to what was happening in Italy and France and
Hmm.
then Germany,
Yeah.
and then it just kind of escalated. So we knew probably about 3 weeks before even the governor's order that a lot of things were going to be changing very quickly and escalating very quickly.
Hmm.
Uh,
But yeah, being able to kind of see ahead of time what was happening and kind of being able to see it come in, was that easier just for your preparation for you? Was that easier in preparation for when everything shut down, just so you guys know what exactly you're going to be doing, just to be ready to help more?
well, see, the Salvation Army is a little bit different compared to most organizations. We're actually a congressional mandated disaster organization. So when we go down to, you see us a lot in Florida for hurricanes, North Carolina. A lot of people saw us in Sandy, and of course 9/11 when that happened. So we're actually congressionally mandated. We have FEMA memos of understanding that if something like a hurricane or a tornado or even a local fire, the Army is going to be there. This is probably the first pandemic I think a lot of us have ever handled. They don't happen too often. They only happen once every 100 years. God willing. But so we kind of from what I was hearing on the ground and stuff, like I said, Lynn already had a huge hunger insecurity beforehand. So, knowing people that were going to be laid off and knowing people that were going to have lack of work, what's the number one issue, that people have is, of course, is food insecurity. There is no quarantine from hunger. If a person is hungry, and they can't get the food, well, how are you going to get the food to people? So that's why we started doing, we converted our gym over to a warehouse. We started picking up more refrigeration and more product, and started asking for more volunteers, and it's become a big community effort, really, not just in Lynn but also on the North Shore. We have volunteers from everywhere.
Can you just talk about all the volunteers that have been lending their time? I know I've seen a lot of the city council members, some of the local politicians give their time. Can you just talk about how members of the community were just able to come and give their time, knowing just everything that's going on? They were able to just come give their time in need because you guys knew you guys needed more volunteers because of the need.
Well, first thing, it's such a wide demographic, just like the city of Lynn is such a wide demographic. And it's really interesting because it's not necessarily people who would ever come together. They all come together to volunteer. And a lot of them have formed really good relationships, friendships as a part of this. But since our volume has increased so dramatically, like I said, even on our most busiest day, like 120 to 140 people, when we were really gearing up, there were some days where we would be giving out 1,200 food boxes, which is a pretty astronomical number. So having volunteers and having healthy volunteers is very, very important. We always ask people if they're healthy, come and volunteer. That's the biggest issue,
Yeah. Now with the food drives and food pantries, just tell me how do you guys have it organized for those that need to come in? I know everyone has to take a lot of precautions. Just tell me how the setup is.
Well, we have really two different programs. We have actually three different programs. We have the senior boxes, which in the beginning we were giving those out to all of the senior complexes, just dropping them off, giving them to people. Now we're asking them to call the city council if they need those food boxes. And then the other way is our drive-through food pantry, which people drive through with their cars, or they walk up and we hand them food in their car and then they drive off. And then the third way is a lot of times we're getting referrals from North Shore Hospital, from Lynn Community Health, and different organizations that need food for quarantine people. So so there's really three different avenues of how food gets out to people. It's pretty amazing, actually, especially with the quarantine families, because we do a lot of the deliveries on those pretty much every day, and the numbers have been increasing quite a bit. I think last week it was only about 20 a day. Lately it's been about 40 a day.
Oh man, yeah, that's a lot. Now that slowly the state's starting to open businesses up, the state slowly starting to open back up. What is the Salvation Army's approach to everything opening up, or are you guys going to be switching how your operations is, or you just still still figuring out a plan?
Well, we're very hesitant to start any of our other programs. I know I was on a conference call with a lot of local clergy, and some churches are just like, we can open up tomorrow. Then there were some churches that said, let's just take our time and just kind of play this out. And I think as a whole, the Salvation Army is just kind of playing its time and see how things play out. We're not going to rush things, but also, this is still, we have the pandemic, but then we also have the economic disaster that's happened after this. So, we're working to, we're still going to be here. We were here before, and we'll be here after, helping out with food boxes and helping people that need food.
Yeah, definitely. Now we got a few minutes left. Now, for any resident that wants to volunteer in any type of way, just how can they do that?
They could email me. My email is kevin.johnson@use.salvationarmy.org. I know you have a copy of that email.
Yes, I do.
Yeah. Even after the pandemic, we're still going to be serving. Serving food. This is probably going to be a long-term thing as things come along. So
yeah. All right. And also, if folks are in need of food and they want to come down to the Salvation Army, can you just give them the address?
They just need to come down. We're not asking for IDs or anything. We're just looking at need. Now, one thing that's an issue right now is our supply chain is very, very tight right now. Some days we have a lot of food, and then some days we have very little food. So, some days we might be able to only serve 200. Like for instance, Monday we were able to serve 200, and then on Tuesday, because we found a large donation of food, we were able to serve 800. So we're just playing it day to day, depending on how much volume we have. But we're still going to give it out, and we'll give it out till it runs out and I can't find anymore.
All right. Captain Johnson, thank you for taking the time to speak with me about everything you guys are doing, and continue to do the great work, and we'll always be here to support you.
Yep. Thank you for having me on your Zoom call television show.
No, not a problem. Not a problem. Then tell Captain Helen Johnson I said hello as well.
I will. Thank you.
All right. You guys have been watching the Lynn Lowdown. That's Captain Kevin Johnson from the Salvation Army. Have a great day, ladies and gentlemen.